Hello, I'm John David Verha in Eastern Passage, Nova Scotia on the Captain's Pride, and welcome to a special edition of John's Traveling Movie Corner. Well, it's a new day and we're at another new lighthouse, Lurd's Range Front Lighthouse. The first one came in 1873, replacing a lamp on a raised pole. The current one behind me arrived in 1879 at a height of 35 feet. A white square pyramidal tower and a red diamond on its seaward face, which is now replaced with a vertical red stripe. Since 1990, the Lurd's Front Range Lighthouse has been operated as the Victoria Seaport Museum in the summer. Well, we made it halfway up Lurd's Lighthouse Front Range, but unfortunately we could not go up to the lantern room. And we couldn't see the rear range lighthouse in the distance. Well, we're at our next lighthouse. It's the Lurd's Rear Range Lighthouse, and you can see it in the distance. It's in another farmer's field, and it was also established in 1879. And like the previous lighthouse, both Lurd's rear and front range lighthouses have been deactivated in 2020. After leaving Victoria by the Sea, we pulled into a nearby park and saw our previous lighthouse, Lurd's Rear Range Lighthouse, and a bonus light, Wright's Front Range Lighthouse, in the distance. Wright's Front Range Lighthouse was first lit in 1903 at a height of 21 feet. Wright's Front Range Lighthouse was decommissioned in 2011. Well, we're at our next lighthouse, Blockhouse Point Lighthouse. The first one was established in 1846. The second one, the current one behind me, in 1876 at a height of 41 feet. And it's located on the west side of the entrance to Charlottetown Harbor, overlooking the Northumberland Strait. At a cost of $2,750, Blockhouse Point Lighthouse twice escaped planned replacement, and it was automated in 1962. Well, we're at our next stop, but it's kind of interesting because we're at the Point La Jolla Fort Amherst National Historic Site, and what we need to do is take one of the trails, and hopefully we'll see both front and rear range lighthouses of Warren Cove. Let's go trekking. Well, surprise, surprise. We took the right trail and we found Warren Cove Range Front Lighthouse and Warren Cove Rear Range Lighthouse, both established in 1907 and both at a height of 25 feet. What was unique about these lighthouses is that they were first known as the Warren Farmer Lighthouse until the 1960s. After leaving Warren Cove Front Range Lighthouse, I walked approximately 1,200 feet to the Warren Cove Rear Range Lighthouse in Rocky Point, located on the west side of the entrance to Charlottetown Harbor. Both lighthouses were completed for less than $1,500, and the towers were made of wood with the typical white paint and red trim with a vertical red stripe on the range line. But what is different about these range lights from other range lights is that Warren Cove front and rear range lighthouses are used to aid vessels as they leave the harbor. Some repairs were made to both towers in 2008, and they are still both active today. And both range lights are located next to the Fort Amherst Point La Jolla National Historic Site. First up is the Brighton Beach Front Range Lighthouse. Brighton Beach Front Range Lighthouse is almost 41 feet in height. It rests in the Hillsborough River and it was completed in 1890. It was the first Prince Edward Island lighthouse to receive designation under the new Heritage Lighthouse Protection Act. Well, we were in a farmer's field out in the middle of nowhere. Now our last lighthouse of the day is right in somebody's yard. Brighton Beach Rear Range Lighthouse. First established in 1890, the current one, 1969, is at a height of 60 feet and is one of two concrete light structures on Prince Edward Island, located on the east side of the North River on old asylum grounds. In 1952, the light was electrified, and in 1968, the Brighton Beach Rear Range Lighthouse is the only one of its design on Prince Edward Island. Well, what can I say? It's another day and another lighthouse. The Cove Head Harbor Lighthouse, established in 1976 at a height of 27 feet. And it's one of the smallest lighthouses on Prince Edward Island. The first light arrived in 1967 and it has always been fully automated. In fact, the Cove Head Lighthouse is actually considered a landfall light. And for you trivia buffs, it was put on a postage stamp in 2018. The coastal light was renovated in 1994, and the lighthouse is located in the Prince Edward Island National Park. Well, it's another long walk to another beautiful lighthouse. The St. Peter's Harbor Lighthouse, established in 1865, and the current one built in 1881 at a height of 27 feet. A wooden white square tower, red trim, and a black lantern. Well, we made it to St. Peter's Harbor Lighthouse. And in the 1900s, the lights were relocated a couple of times. In 1965, guess what? It was moved west a few hundred meters. And unfortunately, the St. Peter's Harbor Lighthouse was discontinued in 2008. As the bus pulled away from St. Peter's Harbor Lighthouse, we saw the remnants of Hurricane Fiona with the flattening of the trees in the surrounding area. Well, it was a walk to another lighthouse, but this one not as far, to Shipwreck Point Lighthouse. First constructed in 1913, and the current one behind me in 1968 at 44 feet. And you can see the one from 1913 and behind me, minus the lantern room. Shipwreck Point Lighthouse is only one of two concrete lighthouses. The other one was the Brighton Beach Rear Range, which we saw yesterday. Well, we are now at East Point Lighthouse. Built in 1867 at a height of 64 feet, it's an octagonal wooden tower and is the last lighthouse built before Prince Edward Island joined the Confederation in 1873. The dwelling and the lighthouse was built by William MacDonald. The lighthouse has been operated by the Friends of Elmira since 2002. It is the second tallest lighthouse and the third oldest in Canada. And yes, there are 67 steps all the way up to the lantern room. And guess where I'm going next? All the way up to the top. And to get a chance to enjoy the gorgeous views of the surrounding area when reaching the lantern room at East Point Lighthouse. And since I visited North Cape Lighthouse and have arrived here at East Point Lighthouse, I will receive a certificate saying I've gone from the westernmost point to the easternmost point of Prince Edward Island. Well, we're at our last lighthouse of the day, Surrey East lighthouse. First built in 1880 is the current lighthouse behind me at a height of 46 feet. It guides ferries between Surrey and Magdalen Island. It has 3 flights of stairs that takes you to the unique shaped cylindrical tall lantern room, which, yes, we'll be getting a chance to go all the way up to right there. That's right, we made it all the way up to the lantern room in Surrey East Lighthouse, and outside to walk around for a beautiful view. Completely surrounded by glass windows, the attached dwelling arrived in 1881. 1911 came an oil shed with the pump house in 1947. The dwelling was detached in 1959 and it moved to a new site. Well, I guess we're not done for the day. We found 2 more lighthouses. The one behind me, the 1901 Annandale Rear Range Lighthouse, replaced the original from 1898 and stood at 65 feet in height. And the Annandale Rear Range Lighthouse is located on the eastern side of Juniper Point. Annandale Front Range Lighthouse took effect in 1898 at a height of 14 feet, and it was roughly 220 feet north of the shore and 312 feet from the public wharf. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm John David Bruja on location at Prince Edward Island, standing in front of the Port Borden Range Lighthouse. This has been a special edition of John's Traveling Movie Corner, United States Lighthouse Society, Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island tour. I hope you enjoyed the ride.